All right, end of the day, around after 5 p.m. on Wednesday. We managed to drag this cabinet out off the shelf, get this protected, and get this one protected, and get the inside somewhat rough sanded a little bit, wiped out with some lacquer thinner. It's going to be ready for finish. By the time I get the rest of this cabinet stripped down, we got all the original back panel holes filled and splinted. So new screws, if we use the same pattern, which I probably won't. I hardly ever do, because the wood just is too weak in that area. Even though you fill it up, you can get a screw in there to hold, but it's, you can see this one here's got about 5 inches in between those. This one over here's got about 6 inches in between those. I mean, there's no real symmetry to it, and I like symmetry. Okay, now the top has been scraped and rough sanded, and the front bar on here has been scraped. All this hardwood. I'm not going to touch the inside of this. I think what I'm going to do is just scuff it a little bit. I'm not going to touch this. This is a kind of a burl looking finish on that. I will touch it up to take out some of the little dinging marks out of it. But this edge here, I'm not going to do anything with except scuff it a little bit, and so I can get more stickum to it. We still have the sides to do, the base, all around the base, and this side to do, and this front little reveal right here. And then this thing here is going to be ready for some fine tuning. I got to do a little dibble dabble with that all. And there's a couple of other spots where there's some gouges in it. I forget where in the heck I seen them, but I know that I seen them somewhere. No, there's nothing there. There's one. Well, that's not much of a gouge. I think it'll come out whenever I scrape it. But we're gonna do this a little bit tomorrow, along with getting the dial glasses lenses cleaned up, and get that dial assemblies ready to go back together. The chassis is still curing. I got it inside in the dry air. So tomorrow is going to be, we're going to be a lot closer getting this thing in shape. Maybe tomorrow evening we can start recapping. So stay tuned. There's going to be a whole lot more shaking going on. Okay, here we are. The dial assemblies and sub-assemblies are all back together. The glass has been polished up. All the other parts have been cleaned up. The backdrop, I guess the flocking, I guess that's what you call it. I called it felt, but it's kind of like a felt, but it's more like a flocking, like they put on the old turntables. It don't look too bad. There is a slight lightening, lightening of the fabric from age, but not bad. So I'm thinking I might leave it like it is, instead of I don't think it's going to need any improvement. I managed to bag what I think I'm going to use for speaker grill cloth for the unit that won't detract too much from the dial backgrounds. The the pointers seem to move freely. Just with a slight touch of the finger. Sorry for the reflections. But yeah, they turned out excellent. I really want to see these light up, I hope. So we're going to move on to doing a little bit more on the cabinet today. We've got rain in the forecast. It's not a heavy rain, it's more like a drizzled rain, just enough to keep things sticky. So and then we're going to bring the chassis out and get it in place so we can determine whether or not we're going to go ahead with it and replace the caps. So stand by, and we're going to have more coming. All right, here's the chassis, all sassy, ready for its guts to be spilled. We got semi-gloss on both the output transformer and the input transformer, and we got our typical finish of titanium silver metallic, a slight coating of it on there. The only reason why I went with a slight coating on the thing is so that the numbers on the back side of the chassis would still show through. Everything has all been sprayed down except for the chassis connections here for grounds, and the ground base for the shield. For the, I guess it's the audio detector or whatever tube. It might be IF tube, I guess. I'm not sure. This one here, that one there plugs onto the grid cap. These lamps. Now, I was yesterday evening while we were kicking back and we were in bed, I was thinking about this chassis and the lamps on the indicators for the bands. What I was thinking was, I'm hoping that they give some good light down that pane of glass, that section of glass, and really makes that particular slot pop. And I'm thinking that with the size of that transformer, and it's no bigger than what's in the well, it's physically no bigger than the one in the Westie 161 and a couple of others like RCA or whatever. And those radios have typically, well, the RCA has, I think, 6 tubes in it, 6 or 7. Some of the ones with the I tube have 7. Other ones have 6 with no I tube. The Westie has 8 tubes in it. And this one here has 11 tubes in it. If you can believe it. Count them up. 11. Now, what's not showing here is the I think it's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 tubes. 9 tubes. I forgot that one back there. 9 tubes. Now, I'm thinking, well, with 9 tubes, they must have 47s in here, or something of a lower current draw. because that would be stressing that transformer, I'm sure, if they were 44s. So I'm thinking, well, you know, if they're 47s, I'd like to go to 44s. I don't know that they put out any more light than the 47s do, but there's a possibility. I haven't checked on it yet. So today I was just peeling off all the masking on this thing, and I seen the lamps, and I thought, I'm going to check these lamps. And I'll be damned if they're 44s. Now, anybody who's done this stuff before or knows 44s pull 250 milliamps. There's 10 of them here. Count it up. The 47s pull 150 milliamps. Less demand. I'm thinking that, well, hell, if there's 44s in it already, well, shit, we'll have to see. You seen the polished glass sections on the bands? They look crystal clear. I mean, they are clear as a bell. The skies on a rainy day after it rains ain't as clear. So I'm thinking they ought to produce a pretty good piece of light coming down that pane of glass. So we're going to see. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do with it if it don't, but I'll think of something. So now we've got this peeled up. We're ready to start doing a job on this. Our switching section for the bands is ready to go back in. Now the good thing about that is, with the exception of the looms for the lamp connections to the terminal strips in the chassis, there are less connections to other things in the chassis to the band selection assembly. In other words, there's more connections on these lights than there are of anything of the RF and the antenna connections to the switching assembly. So that is going to be a piece of cake, chocolate cake, I hope. So we've got other things I already said that are ready to go back on. The the tuner is ready. The drum assembly is ready. I need to clean up the knobs and buff this up a little bit. The shield, the one shield that the radio has, and any nuts and bolts and whatever things else like that has to be done. So stay tuned, and we are going to start rocking here pretty quick. Oh, one other thing. I've been a busy little bee in the meantime while waiting everything else to doggone cure up. And we got this cabinet stripped. I still got to get the base around the bottom there. That is nothing. It's mostly peeled off anyway. But most of this other stuff has been scraped. That is what I used to take the finish off of that. I think it's a piece of 16 gauge black coal roll that I got for other situations that I only needed a small piece for, and I didn't have any metal around here at all. So I whacked me off a handful, put a slight edge on the thing with a little burr, and it stripped that stuff right off. Quick as snot coming out of a runny nose. So I think I said I ordered some grill cloth already for this. I'm going to see what it looks like when it gets here. It won't be here till next week. But in the meantime, we're getting everything else preliminarily done on this thing. We're going to get some intermediate sanding done on it to schmooze it all out. And then we're going to get some finer sanding on it. And then once we're done with all the powdery shit, we're going to tip it up, put it over there on the rack, and we're going to shoot the interior and get it done and out of the way. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more coming.